Project Veritas received information from a whistleblower, a man who worked for the U.S. Postal Service. He said that there was backdating of ballots going on. What this means is that a ballot came in late, past the deadline, and was not eligible, and they started putting wrong dates on it to make it look like they actually came in before the deadline. This is fraud. Well, this whistleblower signed a sworn affidavit. The affidavit was cited by Republicans as evidence of fraud. And now something very, very weird is going on. Take a look at this tweet I have on the screen for those that are watching. Donald Trump says, "A brave patriot. More and more people are stepping forward to expose this rigged election." If you look to the bottom right where it says what's happening, this is Twitter's editorial choice to put this news in front of everyone where it says, Pennsylvania postal worker recants allegations of ballot tampering. Washington Post, Washington Examiner, and New York Times report. Yet, what is this tweet from Donald Trump? Why? He's quoting James O'Keefe, who has a video of that postal worker and a quote, "I did not recant." In fact, he doubles down. He does another interview with Veritas, which they released, including recordings of federal agents interrogating this man and telling him they want to plant false memories. I know it sounds insane. That's why I'm saying, what is happening? Of course, I've asked some friends and they say, dude, Project Veritas lies all the time. Why should I believe them? And I'm like, prove it. Prove they made it up. I don't know what you want to do. What do you want me to do about it? Project Veritas has won all of their defamation suits, as far as I can tell. I've looked into the allegations against them, and I found like one thing that James O'Keefe has said maybe they could have done a better job. But aside from that, we've got a postal worker who signed a sworn affidavit. Now you can argue he's making it up, Tim. He's unreliable. He's a liar. Fine. Now we got to investigate. That's it. We have to investigate, right? Donald Trump is fighting as hard as possible to challenge many ballots that are improper, to challenge a lot of what he sees as fraud, or what may be fraud, I should say. I think it's fair to say there's absolute evidence of fraud, but evidence doesn't mean proof necessarily. What I mean by that is we have I think they released something like 234 pages of sworn testimony from a variety of poll workers alleging weird things going on, violations of procedure and standard. And one woman actually signed a sworn affidavit saying her dead son voted. So this stuff exists. I got to say, I think it warrants an investigation. Now, I'll tell you what's really worrying about all of this. Look, there may be voter fraud, but I think that's not the important question. The important question is whether or not Trump's legal actions will make a difference. I don't know. The media is absolutely opposed in every way to what Trump is saying. And that's weird to me. I don't care about your tribe. And that includes Trump supporters. I don't. And the left says, Tim, you're a Trump supporter. I voted for the guy. No problem. But I don't care about the people there's people mad at me, I guess, because they're like, why won't you show the statistical anomalies and talk about the watermark? And I'm like, dude, I want to make sure we're getting to the root of what's going on with the hard evidence, the strange media stories, and I don't want to play any tribalist games that don't make sense to regular people. So there may be, I've talked about Benford's law. There's like a weird anomaly in Biden votes. I've tweeted about it, that there are certain counties with over 100% voter turnout. These things are very weird. And I am talking about the evidence presented by Donald Trump, but I guess some people aren't satisfied with that. But anyway, the point is, the media is absolutely in the bag for Democrats, and everyone knows it. The way they were ideologically invested in the riots, for instance, didn't want to report on what was really going on. And now we have this story from the Washington Post. Postal worker recanted allegations of ballot tampering, officials say. Okay, maybe he did, but he says he didn't. Well, now we've got a problem, I suppose. The Washington Post ran a story from anonymous sources. They say 3 officials briefed on the investigation and a statement from a House congressional committee. Okay, wait. Not even the investigators themselves? Yeah, let's try this. A Pennsylvania postal worker whose claims have been cited by top Republicans as potential evidence of widespread voting irregularities admitted to U.S. Postal Service investigators that he fabricated the allegations, according to 3 officials briefed on the investigation and a statement from a House congressional committee. All right, hold on a minute. You mean to tell me that we got 3 people and a House committee? We're not party to the actual investigation. We don't know who these individuals are. and we don't know exactly what happened in this meeting, and the guy is saying he did not recant. I got to tell you, Washington Post, your standards are really low. I'd say something like the bar couldn't get any lower, but I'm pretty sure you buried it. This is crazy. They even say, look at this. Hopkins did not respond to messages from the Washington Post seeking comment through his social media accounts, but family members and phone messages earlier this week. But in a YouTube video he posted Tuesday night, he denied recanting. I'm here to say I did not recant my statements. That did not happen. The reversal to investigators comes as Trump has refused to concede. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he signed something. But Project Veritas has put out this video, and I want to make sure you guys will be able to hear it. This is creepy stuff. You need to hear the recording Veritas put out. Let me play this for you.
And so let me make good on that promise right away. Okay, this storm is getting crazy, right? And it's out of a lot of people's control. And so the reason they called me in is to try to harness that storm, try to reel it back in before it gets really crazy. Okay?
I understand.
Because we have senators involved, we have the Department of Justice involved, we have
Trump's lawyers team's gotten a hold of me.
I'm not, well, I am actually. I am trying to twist you a little bit because in that, believe it or not, your mind will kick in.
Okay.
We like to control our mind, and when we do that, we can convince ourselves of a memory. But when you're under a little bit of stress, which is what I'm doing to you purposely, your mind can be a little
We're
bit...
trying to convince you. What did he say? We're trying to convince you of a memory? Is that what he said? We can convince ourselves of a memory. This is weird. Russell Strasser, USPS Office of the IG.
Of a memory. But when you're under a little bit of stress, which is what I'm doing to you purposely, your mind can be a little bit clearer. And we're going to do a different exercise, too, to make your mind a little bit clearer. Okay?
Good to go.
So, but this is all on purpose.
Roger.
I'm not scaring you, but I am scaring you.
It seems like they were trying to make me distrust y'all. And at the same time, it kind of affected, but at the same time, I was like, no, these guys have had my back since the get-go. So that's why I continued.
Do you think these federal agents have your back?
At this point, no.
That is some weird stuff. Look, I'm not going to tell you what you can or can't believe, but it certainly doesn't make sense that they're claiming this guy recanted to federal agents in an investigation, and he's now publicly coming out and saying he didn't actually recant. I can only imagine if they're saying there was an investigation and this guy recorded this guy, from the office of the IG, I have no reason to distrust this video. But I tell you, man, it's getting weird, isn't it? Let me tell you how weird it's getting. Check this out. Predict It has Donald Trump's odds improving. That's right. They say the race is over, but right now they say presidential election winner, and Predict It hasn't called it. For those that aren't familiar, Predict It is a betting website. The idea is you buy a share in some outcome, and then you cash out $1 per share if you were right or $0 if you were wrong. In this instance, what they're saying is for 18 cents, you can buy a share that says Donald Trump will win the election. And if he does, you will get $1 back for every 18 cents. It's going up. Now, I suppose there's probably people making value bets like I don't mind losing 18 cents if I get $1, spend a certain amount of money. You could greatly get more. But are the odds really that good that people are willing to spend 18 cents per share? Shouldn't it be $0? I thought the race was already over. Certainly many people are not acting that way. And that's where things get weird. And look, I got to be honest, I run the risk of getting banned off YouTube for saying this, for bringing this stuff up, but it is what it is. So be it. The Washington Post is a tribalist actor, just like the Trump supporters coming out with videos, and they do like mathematical analysis and they're like, this proves it. You've got two sides trying to say, here's what's really happening. What I'm concerned with is what happens in the courts, what are the actual allegations, and what is Trump's reasonable and rational path to a legal victory. Right now, we're seeing people in media saying, look, there's a lawsuit, and Trump's team says, aha, no fraud. You see, the game they're playing is that you've got these people tweeting out now with 20,000 retweets. It says they've highlighted this text, and it's like the judge asks them point blank, is there fraud? And they say, no, not that I know of. But this specific lawsuit that they're highlighting was about mail-in ballots that were improper. So what the left and the tribalists and the media are doing is just, it's plain as day. This is not real. This is not true information. They're manipulating. They have powerful positions in media, and they're putting out misinformation. I'm trying to get through it. Now, look, as for these like videos of mathematical statistics or whatever that people keep sending me, look, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. It's not hard evidence. We've got affidavits from individuals alleging certain actions were taken, and that, I believe, is where we need to go. Case in point, RNC chair says 11,000 people have come forward with voter fraud claims. I don't even think voter fraud is the appropriate battleground for this. I think it's a distraction, and maybe one on purpose. This USPS mail guy, for all I know, he's making it up. He's got, they say he's recanting. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. That audio's really creepy. We want to control our minds. We can convince ourselves of a memory. Dude, that's straight up like false memory. Like that's a manipulation technique. I'm familiar with this stuff. I used to do nonprofit fundraising. I'm familiar, not exactly what he was doing, but we know about, like pressure tactics for making people take action. It's sales 101. That is something else, but you can see it if you know what you're looking for. That's weird. Maybe it's all fake. I don't know. But I tell you this, 71 million people probably do want to know. And it's getting weird right now. It's getting weird when you have people in the media just saying over and over and over again, everything's normal. Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control again. Donald Trump hasn't conceded the race. Donald Trump just fired top leadership from the Pentagon. Donald Trump has instructed federal agencies to operate as though they to prepare budgets through February, as though Trump isn't going anywhere. And we had Mike Pompeo the other day say, when asked, there will be a smooth transition into a second Trump administration. And then he chuckles. So they tell me, MAGA cope. I'm not sitting here saying that Trump won. I've actually been saying over and over again that I think in the end, Joe Biden will be president. But I tell you, man, all of this news that keeps coming out is getting weird. It's getting weird. If they came out and said Joe Biden president-elect, when they did, I was like, well, there it is. Trump didn't concede. We'll see how that plays out. He's got some long shot legal tactics. That's what I said. Then they put out these weird stories. Then they put out this story saying the postal worker recanted when he puts out a video saying he didn't. And I'm like, what? That's really weird. Shouldn't the title of the video say postal worker denies recanting allegations? They didn't put that, even though in the story they say straight up he's denying it. But you see how they've chosen to frame it. They published this story originally without a comment from the guy, and apparently he was trying to give them one. I think it's really strange. But we have more than one sworn affidavit from individuals alleging voter fraud. In fact, we have 11,000 now, apparently. And not only that, Laura Ingraham had a Nevada poll worker on her show last night, disguised, who has signed a sworn affidavit explaining that she saw weird stuff going on with fraud. Now, I don't think fraud is even the right battlefield for this. Like I said, it may be a distraction and maybe on purpose, because the real battleground, in my opinion, is impropriety. The actual argument that makes the most sense and is the most powerful is the Bush v. Gore argument that all ballots must be treated equally. You've got mail-in ballots and in-person ballots, and they are not treated equally. That's the really weird argument because absentee ballots have existed for a long time. However, I think the issue is that you could argue while there are fundamental differences between the ballots, they undergo a bit of scrutiny to guarantee, the security features of them. And thus, while they may be different in some respects, fundamentally, they are the same. What I'm trying to say, when you go into a polling place, you have to show ID in many states, 38 states, not everywhere. They look up your name. You have to have certain information. There are people watching you. You have to do things by the book and legally. You don't have any observers. You don't have any name check in person when you do vote by mail. When you request an absentee ballot, there is a security process you go through, and there is a chain of custody. You receive your absentee ballot, you mail it back in. They know who requested it, who received it, and who sent it back. In many of these places, that's exactly what happened. However, in many states where they issued universal mail-in voting, they sent ballots out that no one requested. Some ballots were going to dead people. Duplicate ballots have been reported. Or maybe not duplicate, but like in one area, you'll get a ballot. Like California will get a ballot for a guy who moved, but he'll get a ballot in his home state, in his new place of residence as well. So duplicates in a certain respect. I'm trying to make sure I'm being careful and not saying that someone received two of the same ballot in the same place. No, it's like someone will move, the ballot will go there. Anyway, that's the point. They're now arguing, Trump is, that these mail-in ballots are fundamentally different. That argument may not work. They might say, no, listen, not every ballot is identical. Or maybe the Supreme Court rules all voting must be done in person with few exceptions for the military or people who, are traveling for work. Absentee ballots. That's what it's supposed to be about. Originally, I believe absentee ballot was supposed to be for military personnel who couldn't be there, and we understood why, so we made that exception. But maybe the end result of this is that all elections must be done in person. I don't know. That seems to be the best attack vector for Trump in terms of some kind of victory. But we do have 11,000 people coming forward with voter fraud claims, and thus right now, I don't know if Donald Trump has filed the lawsuit in Michigan, but Trump is trying to now do another block, the same as we saw in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, Trump sued to stop the certification process, which I believe happens tomorrow or the 20th or the 13th. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I have all the dates are mixed up because each state has a different certification deadline. But I believe Pennsylvania's unofficial result deadline was the 10th, which is why many outlets called Pennsylvania for Joe Biden. Trump is saying you can't certify these results. The left and the media are saying it's over. Joe Biden won. Shut up. Sit down. No, I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way. Donald Trump is filing legal challenges. Certification hasn't happened yet, and we need to understand what's happening. That's it. You can't just say sit down and shut up. Now with 11,000 people coming forward with voter fraud claims, things are going to get weird. But here's the important part. Pennsylvania has a Republican legislature, the state itself. I don't believe they're going to just roll over and say we're going to ignore all of this. I think we are dangerously close to the parties splitting in such a way. That's it. If Republicans in Pennsylvania let's say Donald Trump loses his lawsuit. He says, I want to block the certification process in Pennsylvania so Joe Biden, nobody will get these votes. Okay. A court could say, no, Pennsylvania, certify your results. And the Republican legislature can say, no. You know why? Fraud isn't the right argument. The Pennsylvania legislature set rules. The government of the executive leadership in Pennsylvania ignored what the legislature wanted. And it went to court, and I don't have those full details pulled up in front of me, but basically, you've got an instance where the Republican legislature said, we need to do it this way, and they said no. You have an instance where a court ordered these poll counting areas to allow observers within a certain amount of certain distance. They said no, violating a court order. I don't know what your answer is to that. I had Michael Tracy, good dude. He's a good journalist. We were on and we're talking about this, and I don't think we have a good answer as to what to do. And look at it this way: the Trump campaign is arguing 300,000 votes approximately in Philadelphia and 150 in Allegheny County were improperly counted when a court order said you must stop. They didn't. So now Rudy Giuliani says, throw them all out. The ballots have already been spoiled. They've been removed from their secrecy envelope. The secrecy envelope was thrown away, and now we just have raw ballots we can't verify. They're all gone. That is the very serious challenge. Do you really throw out 450,000 legitimate ballots? Wow. But if they violated a court order, what do you do? Do we call for a new election? You can't. So the ballots have to be thrown away. But then Trump wins on a technicality and legit ballots get discarded. Now, you can argue that these ballots may have been fraudulent or they were counting things incorrectly. I got so much stuff to go through. So I'm definitely going to do another segment on this and go through all the voter fraud claims. We've got a big list, all the stuff they've put out. But this Veritas stuff is really weird. These polls that are coming out are also very strange. It's like you have two disparate realities forming. The Democrat and the media, and the Republicans and independent media or right-wing media. Two different factions completely at odds with each other's version of events. And I'll tell you this, the media is they're lying. It's ridiculous. They keep saying no evidence of voter fraud. How many sworn affidavits do we need before we can say, yes, we have evidence? It's circumstantial. Now we need an investigation. But they keep saying no evidence. And it's not just like one or two outlets. It's a ton of outlets saying no evidence. Sorry, man. I've seen the sworn affidavit. OK, this is evidence. It's not proof. It's not absolute proof beyond a reasonable doubt. It is evidence. The person may be lying. Doesn't matter. When we go to court for criminal trials, a witness testimony is circumstantial evidence. Does it mean they're telling the truth? No, but it adds some credibility to an idea that something may have occurred. Evidence. The media keeps saying there's none. It's weird, man. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll tell you my fear. Let's say Donald Trump is right. And he goes to court and they say, look at all this fraud. We've got to nullify these elections. What happened in Paterson, New Jersey? When they found bundles of ballots in one mailbox, they were like, this is not right. 1 in 5 ballots were disqualified. So a federal judge said, do a new election. What do we do for the presidency? A new election? What if Trump is right? And the Supreme Court says we're ordering Pennsylvania to do a new election in person because they spoiled too many ballots and it's unfair to the people whose ballots have been disqualified. And we need clean results. What happens if they do that? The left will say Trump cheated. The media will say Trump just got the courts to overturn his loss. Two disparate realities. One in which people like us are looking at the news as skeptics saying, I don't know. I don't. I see this and I say, okay, 11,000 people have come forward with voter fraud claims, many sworn affidavits, 50 plus witnesses about a violation of a court order and poll watching. Impropriety. Okay, it exists. Yet what do we get from the media? President-elect Joe Biden, he won, accept it, stop coping. There's no evidence, but that's fundamentally untrue. They keep saying it. If Trump does come out and prove that there was some impropriety or get votes disqualified, the left will just say Trump is the despot who stole the election. The ACLU has announced they're going to be filing a lawsuit to stop Trump disqualifying votes in Pennsylvania. Lawfare has begun. Who wins? I don't know. Maybe it'll be Trump, maybe it won't. But I tell you this, man, people who aren't paying attention. Drive by politicos. I got to say, these are people who don't pay attention to the news. They don't care about what's happening in our country. They just heard on the news that the orange man is bad. So they went and voted and then they left. And now we're here holding the bag, confused as to what's going on, who's going to be our president. And they're saying, oh, just deal with it. It's Joe Biden. You are wrong. This is not just going away. I believe there is a massive likelihood, like the overwhelming majority to an extreme degree, that it's Joe Biden. That's it. Trump is trying to pull out some legal stops, but I'm not discounting Trump because we have probable cause, absolutely probable cause. So what happens at the very least, Trump is able to sue Michigan and Pennsylvania to stop the certification process. If he does, Joe Biden does not win. If they can't get a certification done by with the electoral votes, House delegates will vote in Trump as president. And Trump certainly seems to be confident that's going to happen. I don't know what to tell you, man. I fully expect counting down the minutes until YouTube bans me because this is out of line with what is supposed to be talked about, I suppose. But I'll tell you what I do. This is Newsweek, NewsGuard certified. You see, I use these sources on purpose. Now, Veritas is not. But I'm not discounting videos and sworn affidavits, especially if Republicans in Congress are bringing these things up. I try to make sure that everything I do is within the confines of certified and fact-checkable claims, which is why I'm trying to highlight the stories that I think present the most obvious and rational conflict here. Newsweek is saying, RNC chair says 11,000 people have come forward with voter fraud claims. This is not some fly-by-night, some random clickbait, ragebait, garbage website. And the RNC chair is not some random person on the street corner yelling, it's been stolen, it's been stolen. We're talking about the Republican National Committee versus the DNC. We're talking about the second largest, one of the two big parties of our country saying no, and we have evidence. We don't just say, oh, the DNC is right. The RNC has made the claims. The investigation must now occur. I'll leave it there. I'll follow up more on a lot of this stuff at 1 p.m. on this channel. So stick around, and I will see you all then.